This is the SmallRig FreeBlazer heavy duty carbon fiber tripod. Took me like 3 tries to get that right. But I originally saw this at NAB this year, and there were 3 things that stuck out to me, and 1 thing that I disliked. I'll tell you that dislike at the end of the video, but the 3 things that I loved about this was the material that's made out of. It's made out of carbon fiber, well, the legs are at least. Second was the price, coming in at $3.99 for all the features we'll go over in a second. And the last one was the locking and unlocking mechanism is only 1 lever per leg. SmallRig did send me this tripod after I saw it at NAB, but no money has exchanged hands and all these words are my own. Taking the tripod out of the case, the first thing, I do like having a case with my tripods, especially bigger ones like this. Looking at the tripod initially, this thing is pretty large, but it doesn't weigh quite as much as my other heavy duty tripods do. This weighs about 11 pounds and it can support up to 22 pounds. Taking off this loud crinkly paper, and now we are left with the tripod itself, and the one feature that I was really drawn to right off the bat was this locking lever right here. This is what put this tripod on the radar for me, so it's the first one I want to go over. If you open this leg up and just release 1 lever, you can extend all of the legs, and if you lock this lever again, all of the legs are staying in place. So I'll illustrate this a little better with the tripod upright in a second, but right off the bat, that is one of my favorite features of this tripod. Okay, this setup's a little bit better for a tripod video. But the other thing in the box was this handle, and the unique thing about the handle is it can be mounted on either the left or the right side of the tripod. And once you do have this mounted, this handle is pretty short, but if you loosen up this knob right here, it actually can extend a little more. So if you're going to be doing a lot of pans, it's nicer to have a more extended handle. But if you're going to be transporting this and you're not going to be doing a lot of pans, it really does help to loosen that up and just put this all the way in so you're not accidentally bumping or snagging on anything. Starting at the top and working our way down, starting with the base, if we loosen the thumb screw and press this button in the back, we will release our camera and the base plate. This is a Manfrotto base plate. However, if you press the button in right here, you can use the RS2 or RS3 Pro base plates. So you can use this with your camera and just slide it right on here, slide it off and put it back on your gimbal. That is nice if speed is something you're interested in, like at events or weddings, for example. And this base plate will just press right back on, and you can tighten the thumb screw again, and now your camera is securely on the head of the tripod. If we are a little bit unlevel, we can use the level on the back here, loosen the bowl head, and actually level our whole camera instead of needing to adjust the legs individually. Or you can remove the head altogether. And it's also worth noting that you can buy this and the legs separately. I have the kit here, obviously, but if you only want the legs or you only want the head, you can go onto B&H or the SmallRig site and you can buy these separately. I think there's also a dolly you can buy as well. But the 75mm bowl is super nice if you need to level your camera quickly. There's nothing worse than needing to adjust legs individually when all you need to do is adjust the pitch of your camera a little bit and your whole setup is like 3 degrees off. The bowl head really does come in handy, and I love that you can remove it and use any bowl head you want to. You're not locked into a proprietary system, so that is something that I'm a very big fan of. I just realized I'm using a tripod with a camera behind me, so let me put this on the tripod real quick. So now with our FX6 on the tripod, we can see that we are not level at all. So using the level on the back of the actual tripod head, we will hold onto our camera, loosen up the bowl, and align the bubble so we are level. This is important if you'll be doing any pans. I mean, it's important to level your camera anyways, but it's important because if your camera is not level and you're doing any kind of pans, they will be off kilter in the center or towards the edges, and it'll just look very unnatural. So having a bubble level is pretty standard issue, but make sure you level your camera if you'll be doing any pans. Speaking of panning, there are 2 things on the back here that pertain to panning. One is completely locking the camera off, and I'm doing it backwards because I'm in front of the camera. But you can lock the camera off and not move it at all, or you can use this to unlock it. And below is the drag system where you can apply more or less drag depending on how fast you want to go or precise you want to be. This is somewhere in the middle of how I like to use it. I don't like it to be too loose that if I just push it anyway, it has like room to breathe towards the end. I don't like any slack in my tripod, so I like to, make the drag a little tighter so it's not drifting at all on me, but I don't like it so tight that I have to move it and I'm getting like little micro jitters like this. I like somewhere in the middle, and I feel like I am capable of getting smooth pans with this head as long as everything is locked off where it is supposed to be. One thing that you want to be aware of is that this drag panning is much better than the drag of actually tilting the camera up and down. There is a little bit of control here, but it's definitely not as fine and as dampened as the drag system of the pan. So I do more pans than tilts, so this isn't really a big deal for me. Honestly, I don't really pan the camera much anyways. I usually just have it locked off, but there is a better drag system on the panning than on the tilting. Also on this side of the camera, there is one 1/4-20 mount. So if you want to mount a monitor or anything like that, I typically mount everything in my camera because I like to, take my camera on and off my tripod a lot, and having one package where I can just take everything and not have to like disconnect the HDMI cable from the tripod. But I know some people like to just stay locked off and have accessories on their tripod. There is one 1/4-20 and another 1/4-20 if you won't be using the handle on that side. Depending on what side your handle's on, the opposite side will have the actual free 1/4-20 available. That about wraps up the head of the tripod. Let's move on to the legs. And my favorite feature of this whole tripod is this one button click to adjust all of the legs at once. So I'm gonna slam into my microphone here, but if we loosen all of these legs up at once, we can pick this tripod head up and all of the legs will fall down into place. And it's only one lever to actually adjust all of the legs. So they're all open. And now once we have everything adjusted, we can lock one leg in place and all of these legs are now locked in. So that is super nice that I'm not walking around and adjusting this leg and then this leg and then this leg. One thing about this though is that if you loosen these, it is possible for the tripod to be the same height, but one leg to be like up here, one leg to be down here, and this one is in the middle. So the latches could possibly be at all different heights, but the tripod is still at the same height. So the spreader helps with that, and it keeps everything pretty close together, but you do have to realize that it is possible to move these out of whack. That is where the bowl head comes into play. You can level off your whole camera and then lock it down. Using the spreader and keeping that actually the same distance for each leg is super important when it comes to using these levers effectively. Speaking of spreaders on a tripod, I know it sounds silly to mention it, but I have purchased a much more expensive tripod in the past and it didn't come with a spreader, and I was using it at weddings, and if I was on the reception dance floor, it would slowly over time just spread out. And it was very annoying, and I had to buy a spreader that was like $130 for it to properly stay in one place. So I know it sounds silly to mention a spreader in a review, but I like that SmallRig includes everything in this kit for one price that you don't have to actually buy later on. Also, a quick note about the carbon fiber legs. Everyone just assumes carbon fiber and they think high quality, durable, and lightweight. And it is. However, if you are filming in a cold environment and you have a magnesium alloy tripod and a carbon fiber tripod, picking up the carbon fiber tripod, you may not even need gloves to handle. However, if you have magnesium alloy like this handle here and you go to grab it, it will be freezing cold. So if I have the option and I'm filming outdoors and it's cold, I always go for carbon fiber tripods because they don't conduct that heat or cold in this case like magnesium alloy does. So I know that's like kind of regional and like a weird thing to mention. However, I always grab carbon fiber tripods in the wintertime now. Next is these tripod feet. They do move a little bit. If you're on a flat surface, these will be completely fine. However, if you press this button and take the feet off, you have two spikes here. So if you're on dirt or sand or uneven rocks or something, these are a little better to use than these feet. And you can put these on pretty easily by just aligning these two little knobs, pushing it straight down, and the feet are back on. The one thing that took some getting used to with this tripod was whenever it's up and I have all of the legs unlocked, sometimes it wouldn't collapse on itself. And that is because the spreader is holding the legs so tightly that it can't just collapse down into itself very easily. So I was trying to originally just push straight down on the tripod head to collapse the tripod. But if you want to collapse the legs, the easiest way I've found is to actually push down and kind of do like a circular motion with it, and all the legs will collapse down onto themselves much easier than pushing it straight down, because if you push it straight down, like one leg goes and the other one doesn't. But doing that circular motion is the fastest and easiest way to collapse all of these legs. And I was trying to find the easiest way to collapse the legs because that is one of my favorite features of the tripod, and I felt like I was kind of battling against the legs when that was one of my favorite parts. So finding that little hack really helped me quickly use this tripod. I know it's like super picky and really weird to mention that, but that is one thing that I noted when using the legs of this tripod. So this is the SmallRig heavy duty carbon fiber tripod. Like I said, it is a pretty attractive price point given all the features it has and that it's made out of carbon fiber with a single latch for each leg. That is a pretty unique set of features for that $400 price tag. Or if you don't want the bowl head or the legs, you can buy them separately as well. I'll link those down in the description below. Is this tripod a pickup or a pass for you? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you guys for sticking around to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.